This is the third consultative meeting that we are arranging. Previously, we held two consultative meetings. And in this third consultative meeting, we have invited heads of institutions, mostly from the eastern and the northeastern part of our country. Friends, today, very briefly, I will present some salient features of the National Higher Education Qualification Framework. And then Dr. Kalsi and Professor Punia will also make brief presentations. And then we can have a question answer session. And if you have any doubts, any suggestions, and any feedback, please feel free. You can raise your hand electronically, and we will request you to unmute and put forward your suggestions and questions. Friends, you know, as we grow older, we become more inflexible, we become rigid. I'm not just saying only from the attitude point of view. We, of course, become rigid and inflexible as we grow older, but physically also we become inflexible. You know, our hamstrings become inflexible. I don't know if recently you have tried touching your toes without bending your knees, or getting up from the floor without using your hands. You would have observed the change that is happening within ourselves as we grow older. And the more inflexible we become more prone to injuries. And that's why it is important that we do some exercises, maybe some yoga, to keep ourselves flexible, because that will improve the range of motion of our joints and our body. We will be in a positive state of mind. We don't fall easily and get injured ourselves. Our gait improves, our confidence level goes up. You see, therefore, flexibility and mobility are interrelated in nature, whether it is our mind's flexibility or physical flexibility. Can we provide a similar kind of flexibility to our students in higher education so that they also become more mobile? Their mobility increases. So in today's meeting, therefore, we are looking at the possibility of providing this improved mobility for our students from one discipline to the other discipline, from one institution to the other institution. How can we do that? And why should we do that? Well, the National Higher Education Policy 2020 has very clearly underlined that we need to provide this flexibility to the students by having a qualification framework which is based on learning outcomes, which is based on some kind of scheme for finding equivalence between various kinds of degrees that we give. It could be certificates, it could be diplomas, degrees, and so on. So following the roadmap that the NEP 2020 has provided to us during last few months, AICTE, NCVET, and UGC have worked together to come up with one single national higher educational qualification framework. And today we are going to look at the structure of this NHEQF, the objectives, and how we can implement this NHEQF. So what I will do is I will share a couple of my slides, and then I will present to you the meaning of NHEQF. So let me share a simple slide set that I have. So NHEQF, as I said, is based on the recommendations that the NEP 2020 has provided us. The first question that comes in everybody's mind is why this qualification framework? And as I mentioned, first of all, to establish the equivalence between various kinds of certificates, diplomas, and degrees that we give, and also to understand the competencies that the students are expected to have after obtaining every qualification from the higher educational institutions, and also to provide mobility to the students and to make them more employable. So these are the three reasons why we want the higher educational qualification framework. So the principle on which NHEQF is based upon, in order to harmonize or synchronize our Indian higher education by converging all the qualifications into one single common framework, is the learning outcomes. That is the reference point for us. We want to know what is that every learner is expected to know, whether it is a knowledge set or a skill set, in order to obtain a certificate, diploma, and degree. And now, what are the key elements in order to have the graduate attributes? So I have listed here three. First of all, you should have enough knowledge in any discipline and a proper understanding of this discipline. And then you also need to acquire certain skills in order to perform and accomplish certain tasks. And you should be in a position to apply this knowledge and skills in order to perform the tasks. In addition to this, we also emphasize on the fact that the students had to ultimately become good human beings. And that is possible if they acquire constitutional, humanistic, ethical, and moral values. And in addition to this, often we have also seen the importance of preparing our students employment ready. And are we providing the proper kind of skills, knowledge set for the students so that they become employment ready if they would like to have a job, or if they want to become job providers instead of becoming job seekers? Are we providing enough entrepreneurship skills to our students? And also the mindset, the ability to take risks, which is required if you want to become an entrepreneur. So these are the key elements to acquire the graduate attributes. But if you become a graduate, what is that you are expected to do? Well, you should be in a position to widen the existing knowledge base and skills. And you should be able to apply this new knowledge and skills. And then you should be able to undertake independently any future study and perform well in any given chosen career. So these are the graduate attributes that we are expecting from our students. You, of course, have to be a good human being, a good citizen by acquiring constitutional and moral values as a part of your education. Now, how is this National Higher Education Qualification Framework designed? You know that the students enter the higher educational institutions after the schooling. So therefore, the National School Qualification Framework also is worked out. The number of years that the students spend in the school, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, that education is divided into 4 levels, level 1 to 4. And when the students enter the higher education, this is when our role comes into picture, and we need to unify, synchronize various kinds of qualification frameworks that are available in general education, in professional education, and in skill education. And that is what we have done on the right side. The levels 4.5 to 8 are reserved for this common unified National Higher Education Qualification Framework. And I must say here, both Professor Kalsi and Professor Punia have played significant role here in working together with UGC in designing this unified qualification framework for all disciplines of higher education in our country. Now, 4.5 to 8, these are divided into 7 levels based on the learning outcomes, because that is what is our reference point. And these levels from 4.5 to 8 increase in an incremental way, depending on the complexity of the skills and the knowledge base and the values that the students acquire as they move from level 4.5 to level 8. So, and the complexity as the students move from one level to another level, it has a kind of continuity so that the students can easily move from one level to the other level. So here this table shows you what are the kinds of competencies that the students are expected to acquire. So the element, the skills required to perform and accomplish the task, they are given here as a function of the levels. In level 4.5, the students are expected to have simple cognitive skills to analyze and understand the information that they are coming across as part of their education. And in level 5, they need to upgrade their cognitive skills, acquire additional skills to analyze a little bit more complex information that is coming in their way. And level 4.5 corresponds to the first year of any undergraduate program that the student joins. It could be BSc, BCom, BA in general education. It could be BA, BTech, or any other professional degree program if it is a 4-year degree program. So at level 5, the student enters second year of the undergraduate program. And at level 5.5, the student enters the third year of the undergraduate program. And here you can see that the student is expected to perform a little more complex analysis of the information that the student handles at this stage. Now, at the end of third year, the student, of course, can exit from the program, but the student decides to continue until level 6. Then this is where we have the 4-year undergraduate program. It could be in general science, and in the professional program, of course, you have already the 4-year undergraduate program. And here, the students are expected to use their cognitive, higher order cognitive skills in order to handle research methods and techniques in this year. And at this stage, the students can leave their undergraduate program. And if the students would like to continue for a postgraduate program, then they enter level 6.5 in the first year of their master's program, or they can continue up to level 7 if they want to complete a 2-year MTech program. At level 6.5, of course, the student can exit and they will get a postgraduate diploma here. And those who are research bent, who are research oriented, they can then move to level 8. And this is where they are expected to have much more advanced cognitive skills in order to conceptualize, design, and implement research ideas so that new knowledge is created, and then they get their PhD degree program. So you can see how incrementally the learning outcomes will increase as you are moving from level 4.5 to level 8. Now, what are the credit requirements at every level of these qualification frameworks? At level 4.5, at the end of the first year, the student is expected to acquire at least 40 credits. Of course, what kind of courses they will take here as part of the 40 credits, what are the core courses, what are the optional electives, etc. That will come as part of the 4-year undergraduate program guidelines that we are going to announce soon. Those guidelines are ready. And as you can see here, if the student exits at the level 4.5 after completion of this, after 2 semesters, they will get an undergraduate certificate for the number of credits that they are acquiring. And then if they move to 5, then they are expected to gain an additional number of 40 credits, so 80 credits. And if they continue to move to 5.5, then they can get up to 120 credits. And this is where the students will get the bachelor's degree if it is a general program, general studies such as BA, BSc, BCom, or they can get Bachelor of Vocation program. And this is after 3 years. And what if the student now wishes to progress to the next level? And at this next level, the student will get an additional 40 credits. And then this becomes a 4 years or 8 semester program. And this is also equal to the postgraduate diploma. And level 6.5, at level 6.5, the student will get a master's degree. And here, the student is expected to get 8 credits first semester and second semester. And if the student continues to the second year, then the student can then move on to the MTech level. And here the student is required to get 80 credits. And then the student can move on to level 8. And that is where the student gets the doctoral degree. So you can see that in a count of 40 credits, as the student moves from one level to the other level, the number of credits will keep getting accumulated at the rate of 40 at every level. Now, just to give you a picture, a complete picture of what happens as the students move from 4.5 to 8, I would like to bring the idea of multi-entry and multi-exit also here, because remember, we want to provide more mobility to our students from institution to institution, from discipline to discipline, or even take a break for some time and come back and take up the strings from there and move forward. And when the students will enter at 4.5, but of course, at the end of 4.5, they can exit, and then they will have the facility to re-enter the programs. And as the students move on from one level to the other level, you can see that the kind of qualification framework that the students will have are indicated on the right side. Undergraduate program, 4-year undergraduate program, PG diploma program, postgraduate degree, such as MSc, and then you have MTech, and then you have the PhD. So friends, to summarize, I have described the key elements of the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which has been worked out together by UGC, NCVET, and AICTE. And the basic reference point for this qualification framework is the learning outcomes, which are measured in terms of the competencies that the students are required to acquire and the number of credits that they are required to obtain. So this is briefly that I wanted to present to you. And I will now request Dr. Kalsi to make his presentation.
Thank you, Dr. I'll just share my screen. Can you see the screen, please?
Yes.
Now, please tell me if these slides are not moving, because sometimes that happens.
Sure, Dr. Kalsi. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I am just going to take it forward from where Professor Jagdish has left it. National Higher Education Qualification Framework, how it actually fits into the national credit framework as a whole. That is what I'm going to talk about. Now, as already discussed, UGC, AICTE, NCVT, and NCRT in the Ministry of Higher Education, School Education, and the Ministry of Skill Development, we have worked jointly and we have developed this national credit framework. This actually integrates credits in 3 dimensions of learning. That is academic learning, vocational skills, and relevant experiential learning. So therefore, it makes the education as a whole as very aspirational. This national credit framework also provides for assignment, accumulation, storage, transfer, and redemption of credits. It supports a comprehensive credit-based academic and skill qualification framework, that is National Higher Education Qualification Framework and National Skill Education Qualification Framework. Then it removes any kind of distinction between general education and vocational education and skilling. And it provides a way for establishing equivalence and mobility, as Chairman UGC was talking about, within and between higher education, skill education, as well as school education. Now, it also caters to the multidisciplinarity and the holistic education, whether we talk about in sciences or social sciences or across them, arts, humanities, and sports. And very importantly, this NCRF framework will enable transformation of India by providing high quality education opportunities. They're integrated with effective skills, as the Honorable Prime Minister says, to reap the demographic dividend, making education and skilling truly aspirational. Now, this NCRF has been built on the existing regulation and guidelines. Now, whatever we could work on the existing guidelines, we have kept the entire thing the same, and we have built on that. And then it enables the multiple entry, multiple exit pathways, both for general education and vocational education. It also establishes imaginative and flexible curricular structures, enables creative combinations of discipline which one could take. For example, you can go for a bachelor's in electrical engineering, a major in electrical engineering with a minor in, say, for example, economics. So that is possible now. It was already possible in the IIT system, but now it will be possible across all disciplines. Then enabling flexibility for the students. They can choose their learning trajectories and programs with various career options. Also, they can change the career options midway. So modification is possible based on their talents and interests. The system would also promote internationalization of education through credit transfer, and thus providing the international equivalence. Now, this will also promote the exchange of students with foreign universities, which will further improve research and education both. It also promotes extensive use of technology in teaching, learning, and skilling, and also provides access to Divyangs. We are working for removing any kind of language barriers, providing education in every Indian language. So that is another area we have set our eyes on. Now, this is a very important slide where I'm sharing the integration of the academic skill and the experiential learning, how it is actually happening. If you look at it from 1 to 4, as Chairman UGC explained, it is the National School Education Qualification Framework. And from 4.5 till 8, it is National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So that is on the academic axis. Now, if you look at the skill axis, again, you have level 1 to level 8. And you can see those 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5, all those levels you can see. And on the right side, you can see the indicative entry qualifications for entering into, say, level 5, level 6, level 7. For example, if you see level 5, you need to be either a UG or a diploma with experience or with 12th class with an experience. Similarly, for 5.5, but I am talking about the skill access now. It's purely the skill access I'm talking about. So there are qualifications available for UG, for PG, for even PhD students. Those kind of skills are available. Now, on the experiential learning and proficiency, you see that person could be a trained, proficient, expert, or masters, and based on that, he could earn some additional credits. Now, if we put all three axes together, you see what you see on the yellow line, that is the national credit levels, national credit framework levels, right from level 1 to level 8, again encompassing academic access, skill access, and experiential learning access. So that is how it is. Now, as Professor Jagdish very beautifully explained, for every year of learning, 1,200 hours we say, because it has to include the schools also and the AICT institutions also. So 1,200 hours of learning per year. That means 40 credits. That means per semester of 6 months, it's 20 credits. And if you work out on an average, it is 30 hours per credit of learning. And when we talk about creditizing every kind of learning, the creditization is subject to assessment, which is mandatory. And in the learning hours, we can include every kind of learning, right from classroom teaching, learning, laboratory work, innovation labs, projects, assignments, tutorials, sports and games, physical activities, performing arts, music, handicraft work, bagless days, as is mentioned in NEP, then all kind of examination, class tests, quizzes, assessments, then all kinds of vocational education, training, skilling, including the minor and major project work or field visits which we are doing there, or any kind of internship, apprenticeship, experiential learning, or on-the-job training. So all these kind of learnings are part and parcel of creditization subject to assessment, which is mandatory. So project work, internship, apprenticeship, on the job, again 30 hours per credit. And one could also go for additional programs beyond 40 credits, as UGC has already allowed 2 parallel courses together. So is NCVT. We are allowing these parallel courses. Similarly, for relevance of and weightage of experiential learning and proficiency, this is subject to assessment. A person, I'll just give you an example from the lower world. For example, if a driver is trained at level 3 or level 4, and he does that driving for next 5 years or 7 years, and then he's proficient to drive on a hill, so he'll get some additional credit points there. Now, how that will work out, that is provided in the NCRF document, detailed document, and again it is left to the concerned regulator to regulate that as to how this is actually going to be done. And then credits also for online and blended learning programs, again subject to assessment. Now, this is to expand open and distance learning options. Blended learning will promote flexibility, efficiency, and extensive use of technology. Sorry. Also making academic and vocational education available in all Indian languages, as I said. And ABC would now include the school education, technical education, as well as vocational and skill education, including apprenticeship, internship, etc., etc. No, sorry, excuse me. Now, if I talk about the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, National Skill Qualification Framework, National School Education Qualification Framework, and how the equivalence is working out with the National Credit Framework, where now everything has been equalized. Now, this is the overall table, I would say, right from the start of the education, that is preschool, 3 years preschool, up to the PhD level. Now, you see the credit levels starting with 0.1 for the first 3 years of learning, 1 for class 5, 2 for class 8. And then with every year of education, it is increasing by 2.5. So 2.5 for class 9th and 10th is 3. 11th is 3.5 and then 4. And then Professor Jagdish explained it beautifully from 4.5 to 8. So that is how it goes up. Now, since the number of hours of learning up to the 5th standard, for first 5 years, it is 800 hours per year, and next 3 years, it is 1,000 hours. So you see the number of credits earned is a little lower, 27 and 33. But there onwards, it is 40 credits per year consistently, because that is 1,200 hours of learning. And if you multiply the credit, the national credit framework levels and the credits earned, what you get is the credit points earned. And the credit points earned, they also go up with the complexity of learning. For every hour of every year of learning, the number of credit points which you earn goes up. And ultimately, the NCRF is going to utilize these while working out the multi-point entry, multi-point exit, and also the multidisciplinary approach while working out the equivalences. So I'm going to stop here, and I would welcome any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Kalsi. We will take questions at the end of the third lecture also. Now, I invite Professor Punia, please deliver your presentation.
It's visible, sir?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
And good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much, Chairman Saab, for giving this opportunity. And third, this type of event we are having in the country, and many of the Vice-Chancellors we have connected earlier also, and today some of the Vice-Chancellors are connected. And very beautifully, Jagdish, you explained that we were becoming very, very stiff, in fact. And since years, during last 34 years, I think there was not much change in our education system, and particularly this qualification framework. We have never touched, we have never seen, in fact. But the freedom which we are giving through the framework of NCVT and UGC, I think we are putting our students on driving seat. He'll be the driver. Even he'll be having accelerator with him, steering with him, the braking system with him, clutch also, what time, at what speed he'll have to operate that vehicle, and where he'll have to put the brake. Everything, it will be with the students, and that's the freedom. That's the beauty of national education policy, that this sort of freedom we are envisaging for our students. And teachers and regulators and Vice-Chancellors probably will be accompanying with that student inside the bus. Wherever he'll be having problems, we'll be helping the students. I think this is more or less the outlines of this framework, the freedom which it is being given, that anywhere the students can go out, they can have some experiential learning into the industry, the practical experience they can gain, and they can come back into the system. So it is not exactly exiting, it is basically lifelong learning processes we are devising here. And so that practically the students can become strong, they can become innovators, they can solve the problems. So those type of environment, in fact, we are creating, and I'll be congratulating both the learned partners which worked with me during the devising of this whole system, Kalsi and Jagdish, and that's why this beautiful pattern it has come. And in more or less the same pattern in technical education, slightly we are different, because our technical education system is starting from schools, from class 8th it is starting, and in higher education up to level 8 it is reaching. So more or less we are inclined toward this national credit framework which Kalsi is suggesting here. From class 8th, when students are there, they can enter into ITI education. ITI can be of 2 years, ITI can be of 1 year. After 1 year ITI, after 8th, he can have some skills, he can earn some certificate of skilling, or he can have equivalence of class 9th also. Then another 1 year, that skilling equivalent to class 10th, then he can enter into polytechnic also. So schooling also can be continued, the skilling also can be continued. So polytechnic students, even after doing 3 years polytechnic, they can enter into engineering. So that sort of mechanism earlier we had, but now every year that entry and exit mechanism, it is there. Otherwise, our engineering system was very stiff, 4 years program. If someone has taken admission after class 12th in computer science and engineering, and after 6 months, if he is able to know that I don't have much interest in computer science and engineering, there was no freedom. For 4 years, he had to be there in the system, or 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, even he may be failing in between. No option was available to the students. So in engineering education, probably more flexibility will be available to the students. And ours was very, very important. Indian technical education is very important because it is very large as compared to other countries. Only in engineering and technology at UG level, we are producing around 1 million engineering graduates every year, just after China. China probably they are producing 1.2 million. So our system is very large, and the flexibility which we are giving here, it is foremost. But due to that rigidity, the problems which were coming, and the most challenging problem was the industries were not accepting our graduates because that rigidity, because no exposure to the students we are giving to real world of work, no internship, and internship if it was there, it was very rigid that in 8th semester you have to take for 6 months, or after 5th semester you have to take. All sort of restrictions we were putting on the student. So that's why the confidence building of the students was not as much which was being expected from the industry. Industries were saying that the basics of the students are poor. That we are not accepting. Even for our curriculum also, they were saying that curriculum of our Indian technical institutes are very old. It is not getting aligned with with the industry. Even the practical skills which students are having, those skills are weaker than the attitude of the students also. So at many of the places, industries were putting many suggestions, and there was a strong doubt on employability of our engineering graduates. Now both are moving parallelly. Our industry system and our education system, as Jagdish was saying, at level 4.5 students can exit, at level 5 students can exit, at level 5.5 students can exit, and some certificate or diploma they are having in their hand. So qualification is also improving, their skills also getting improved, and even the needs of the industry, that the latest needs which they are having, because students will be spending time into the industries also, so they will be learning the needs of the industries also. So that sort of benefit and confidence building of the students we are doing, even with the analytical abilities and high order thinking skills of the students are being doubted by the industries, because our examination system which we are having, it was very rigid. Some 8 questions we were giving, 5 students will have to attempt, only 2 they made right. I think we were giving CGPA 6.5. Industries were saying that we are not interested in this CGPA. Even the question which we are giving, the industries were saying all the answers of all the problems are known since years, it is known. And same question we were giving. Now the assessment which is being suggested here, it is on the learning outcomes. Again and again we are saying learning outcomes are more important. When I'm saying learning outcome, it is the ability to do work. What students are able to do, that is more important. So due to the freedom in assessment system, the methodology which will be utilizing for assessing the learning outcome or high order thinking skills, I think the confidence of students will be much better. The students will be having more commitment, they'll be stable in their career also. And industries were giving many suggestions also with respect to their fundamentals, with respect to the concept, with respect to practical skills. They were also saying the time management abilities of the students, the ICT skills of the students, the entrepreneurship abilities, the management skills, the team building, the communication skills. Many suggestions they were giving, and they were saying that why only you are giving 6 CGPA 6.5 on the basis of the examination which you are conducting. Industries were saying that we are interested in these attributes, graduate attributes, which is basically related to their soft skills, the ability to move ahead with ethics, moral, the ability to communicate. On those areas, universities were not saying anything. So here package which will be having on the basis of learning outcomes, everything is packed into this one. The core competencies as well as the soft part of the abilities of the student, which they are. So this beauty in our qualification framework which it has been designed, I think everything it has been taken care. So the core skills, which is the application of the knowledge, devising certain new knowledge, application of that knowledge for developing some new products, new ideas, so that benefit to the society can be given. Some certain level of investigation, researches also. So learning outcomes on core skills, it will be enough, because every day students will be knowing that what are the expectations of the society, what are the expectations of the industry, and same time connect to society, the expectations of the society, the issues of sustainability or moral values or ethics or working in team. Every sort of exposure, it is being planned into this system. So hope the expectation which NEP is having, or the vision NEP is having, that our students should be able to take the challenges, not only at our national level, even across the globe. They should be able to compete, they should be able to deliver, and our values, sanskaras which we are having, those should be reflected into their actions. And those sort of learning outcomes which we are devising, hope those requirements will be fulfilled, and our graduates will be becoming a strong human resource, and for bringing dollars for this country. I think they'll be contributing much more into the GDP of our country. And we are saying through this framework, we are saying the students are architect of their own education. Every freedom is being given to the students. They can decide their subject, their path, the speed, the number of credits which they let to earn, everything it will be decided by the students. So they are architects, they are the decision makers, and we people, we teachers will be helping them around their whole activities. And due to this freedom, probably they'll be able to observe the things in a better way. They'll be able to investigate, they'll be able to innovate, they'll become more curious, and certainly they'll be asking many questions, and they'll become the problem solvers. So this freedom was required, and this freedom it has been given so that the country's expectation from our graduates will be fulfilled. So the levels which was there as UGC chairman has explained from 4.5 to 8, Kalsiji has explained from 1 to 4. In between, our levels are also there. I'm saying class 8, then they can exit for ITI. They can have in level it is 2. They can have level 2.5 for ITI. Then come back class 9 certificate also they can take equivalent to that ITI. Then level 3 it is equivalent to 10 or 2 years, and that level of skilling they'll be having. Like this one, they'll be moving, and every exit they'll be having some certificate with them. That's the beauty of this one. Either schooling they'll be continuing, or they'll be having some skills, additional skills with them. But after taking skills, if they want to exit and for taking experience or earning for their family, they'll be having certificate with them. And this is the beauty of this whole framework which we are having. At level 4.5 at 12, after 12, 1 year education if they are taking, or after diploma, means 10 plus 3 years diploma, and if they are entering into year at level 4.5, they'll be equivalent to UG certificate. At level 5, another 1 year of education, they'll be having UG diploma. Another 1 year of education, they'll be having Bachelor of Vocational Education, it is 5.5. One suggestion, just today I was discussing with apprenticeship boards, 4 boards it is in the country. And after diploma, after engineering, they are giving the apprenticeship to the students. Apprenticeship can be 1 year. So, sir, after diploma, when they are at level UG certificate 4.5, after diploma they are say level 5. After diploma, 1 year apprenticeship they are doing, and again 1200 hours if they are learning during their apprenticeship, 1200 hours if they are spending. Can we give equivalent them to 1 year the skilling part, and level 5.5 directly can achieve after diploma through their experiential learning, through the skilling which it is being done in the apprenticeship. So BVOC we can give 5.5, one in conventional system, another one if through apprenticeship they are coming, again we can give BVOC to them. And similarly after BVOC, if 1 year again apprenticeship they are doing, then level 6 they can achieve, because their hands-on part is improving, that is getting strengthened them, that we can do. Then BTech level it is 6 also it can be. So level BTech they can achieve through that apprenticeship part. And again if they are moving after BTech, if they are going for apprenticeship for 1 year, 6.5 MVOC we can do give on the basis of those learning outcomes, qualification facts, and the confidence which is being built into their personality, like this one. And after BTech 2 years, MTech 2 years, if they will be moving in vertical direction, they'll be getting MTech degree, and finally PhD they'll have, just like UGC pattern which they are having. So the method, the stairs, the way they are moving forward from class 10th standard or even below that one, class 8, they can move up to the level of PhD, and everywhere there is option of exit. That flexibility it is being proposed, and already in AICT approval process handbook, this mechanism we have given this freedom we have given to this friend, and institutes are also coming forward. They are applying for this type of courses, and exit the curriculum also. According to these exits, we are designing the curriculum also. Hope this whole system will mature in next 6 months or in a year's time, and students will be able to get benefit of this one. And only thing with the university that every level of exit they'll have to define the learning outcome. That will be their responsibility. And even some gaps are there, some bridge courses they can define, and the degree or certificate which is being given, that is depending upon the director technical education or the universities, and equivalence of that one or the time which is required. It may not be exactly 1 year, even in 9 months some of the courses can be completed. So depending upon the abilities which they are achieving or the learning outcome which they are achieving, those certificate or degrees can be given to the student. So thank you very much. Best wishes. You are muted, sir.
Thank you, Puniaji. Friends, you have heard three presentations, and you might have observed the kind of synchronization that has been brought now in the higher education qualification framework. The session is now open for questions. You can raise your hand electronically so that we can unmute you and you can put your questions. I will check on the screen. If any one of you have raised your hand electronically, I will unmute you. Let me also tell you that during the last two interactions, consultations that we had with a large number of vice-chancellors from different parts of the country, there was a very positive acceptance of this qualification framework, appreciation and understanding of this qualification framework. We hope to announce it soon so that it can be implemented across the country. So I'm just waiting for any one of you to raise your hand electronically, because that becomes easier for me to see and unmute you. Gopkumarji, do you see any participants raising their hands?
Checking, so just I couldn't see anybody raising
Yes,
hands.
electronically I don't see.
Yeah.
You know, either because I think the presentations are very crystal clear and simple to understand. Perhaps because of that, there may not be any questions. But even if you have some suggestions or what you felt after understanding the structure of the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, you can still say. So,
Sir, Professor Sanjay Singh from
GGV Bilaspur, VC of GGV Bilaspur, could you please, let me see if I can unmute you. Please unmute him, Gopkumarji.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear
Right.
me?
Please go ahead.
It was a wonderful presentation from all of you, all three, Professor Jagdish Kumarji, Kalsi Saab and Punya Saab. By what time we are expecting these to come in force, sir?
Well, the documents are almost final, and the integration also is being done. Let's keep Professor Kalsi the time frame of about 4 to 8 weeks.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Fine enough. I mean, almost everything is so nicely presented.
Right.
I congratulate all of you, I mean, all you three people. And this is a
you.
wonderful presentation. We learn a lot, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Gopkumar, you said Professor Sanjay Singh wanted to speak.
I saw he's raising hands, sir, physically, not electronically.
You can unmute. That is okay. Professor Sanjay Singh, please go ahead.
Sir. Just a minute, sir. There's something.
We can hear you.
Sir, myself, I am associate here, just sitting along with me, Dean Academic Affairs of my university. So he would like to ask some question. So I will just pass him.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
It was really a great presentation, all the three presentations, and I love to listen to you also. Sir, there is one this problem I think we are going to face is that DG locker. How we are going to transfer credit from one institution to other institution? So how it can be resolved? Because this is going to be a challenge. We are trying to resolve at our own level, but when we perceive at the national level, how it is, and being you are basically an engineer, sir. So you would be the suitable person to suggest her and to guide us.
Right. You see, the Academic Bank of Credits and DigiLocker, they are related to each other, right? They function together. And for every credit that a student earns, right from the school level, their credits will be stored in the academic bank of credits. And in fact, the very purpose of having ABC is for easy transferability of the credits from one institute to the other institute, so that the student has almost no problems at all in terms of the mobility and in terms of obtaining the degrees. So with respect to your institute, if you have any specific technical issues related to either ABC or DigiLocker, we would be very, very glad to help you. And please get in touch with Dr. Gopakumar, who is our joint secretary, and we will depute a person who can help you in that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let me supplement that. If you want to use DigiLocker, you have to first register your university with DigiLocker. And then you can store the credits of the students. Now, every student will have to give you permission to store their credits into that. So you will take permission, they'll give permission, and based on that, it will be connected to their Aadhaar number. And then it will go into that. Whenever the student wants to go to some other place and wants to redeem those credits, he will tell that university that I have my credits lying in the DigiLocker, and this is my Aadhaar number. Based on that, those can be redeemed, can be taken out of the DigiLocker.
Yes, both the DigiLocker and ABC, they are almost an year old, but some universities may have difficulty in accessing and using it. So soon, I'm going to make an online presentation on ABC and DigiLocker, and it will be available on our social media platforms. And we will also send you a link of that presentation once the presentation is done. And for your information, nearly 550 universities, higher educational institutions have already registered in ABC, and we are working with other universities also to register. In fact, ABC will become extremely popular once our digital university comes into existence, on which we are working at a very rapid rate, because students can take up to 40% of their credits from the digital university and store it in ABC and transfer them to get their degrees. Or they can do a second degree parallel to their physical degree and store their credits in ABC. So it's going to become extremely popular in the coming years. Right.
Sir, just wanted to add into this one, sir.
Right.
In technical education, there are 28 technical universities, and majority of the universities, they are registered on ABC. And even the last 2-3 years, their mark sheets, everything they are uploaded. But the problem is coming, individual students also will have to register. That registration is lagging, in fact. In that, the Indira Gandhi Open University, they are leading. Around 30 lakh students already it has been registered from our side, sir. The number of students actually who are registered on ABC, that number is very, very small. So the VCs who are connected from technical education, please ask your students to register on that ABC, then the things will start to move forward, sir.
In fact, right in the beginning, when the students join in the first semester, it should be made compulsory to them to register on ABC portal. Right. Dr. Gopakumar, you can unmute one more of our colleagues.
Professor Ratnabali ji.
Right.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaste.
Thank you for such a lucid presentation. I have few questions. Sir, you already explained, as well as Dr. Kalsi has explained clearly, how the NHEQF will work. But there are problems. Say, for example, we have seen the presentation from Professor Punia also, that from BVOC courses, after doing certain course, a person will be again given a BTech degree. So when we talk about, giving from one changeover from the BVOC degree to a BTech degree, so will AICTE or an authority prescribe what will be the courses or the attributes, graduate attributes or learning outcomes should a student should earn so that that particular BTech degree or higher degree can be given? That is one question. Will there be a common framework which will be applicable to all universities? That's my first question. Second question is, there has been a lot of queries coming in the university also that say for example, when we have multiple exits at the end of every even semester, say a student who exits after the first year has collected the undergraduate certificate in that particular field of study. If he wishes to come back and say complete a degree, add 2 more years, will the student have to surrender the undergraduate certificate that has been awarded for giving a degree? So that is one question which, we don't have answer as of now. So I think there should be some common policy how to go about it, because we are talking about redeeming the credits in order to get a degree or diploma. So should a student surrender the previously earned certificate or a diploma for getting a higher, degree certificate or a diploma or degree with research? These are my 2 questions, sir.
So let me answer the second part of your question. If a student has exited from a program and gets a certificate or a diploma, and if the student comes back, I don't see any reason why the student has to, deposit that certificate and diploma. He has been awarded that. So therefore, the student can continue to keep them and continue to complete the remaining requirements of the degree. And of course, he is going to get the employment based on the highest qualification that he is acquiring. And please remember that in most cases, students may drop out, may take the option of the exit only because of some maybe family issues, financial issues, health issues, and so on. Today, we have no mechanism for students to exit and come back after a couple of years. So therefore, this flexibility, this advantage should be with the student. And for the first part, I request Professor Punia to please briefly answer.
Yes, sir. After 3 years, if they are pursuing their education, we are allowing them for BIVO courses. And as far as learning outcomes are concerned, already we are having our model curriculum, and for every subject, the learning outcomes are specified. So after 3 years, if he is exiting, then certainly the integration of every learning outcomes which every subject is having, that students will have to achieve. But because ours is a model curriculum only, universities can decide their own learning outcomes, as well as if some gaps are there, some bridge courses they can design. So this spectrum from 4.5 to 5 to 5.5, that BIVO part, or 5.6 BTech part, all sort of freedom already we have specified in approval process handbook, and same type about the learning outcomes, universities also can decide from their side also, sir.
Right.
So that freedom is available, sir.
Absolutely. In fact, ma'am, the autonomy of the institutes also is very important. Any regulator should not micromanage the university affairs, academic affairs of a university. So all that we are doing as regulators is create a broad framework so that you work within the contours of the framework, but you have the freedom to specify the type of courses to your students.
Let me add to that.
Right.
If somebody has taken a IGNU course, which is a 3-year course, after you complete 1 year, you automatically get a certificate without even you knowing about it or applying for it. After 2nd year, you automatically get a diploma. And at the end of the 3rd year, you get a degree. So that answers your question. That you need not return it.
Right.
You will keep it.
Thank you, sir. I just have one additional question.
No, but I think we have to go to the others also. There are many other.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Gopakumar, let's go to the next colleague.
Professor Srinivasa Varkadeji, you can please unmute yourself and ask the question. Professor Srinivasa.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thanks for nice presentations. Sir, I have one question. We have a learning outcome-based curriculum framework designed for our university curriculum. And the framework already have some outcomes, and how it differs from the present one, I mean, that we are proposing. So what is the difference between these two? I would like to understand.
Right.
And also, I have a request. Because today you have presented 3 presentations. If a consolidated presentation is given to us, so that we will share with our own colleagues and we will discuss amongst ourselves.
Right. Professor Srinivas, ultimately, every university is expected to follow the broad framework that we are going to announce. And to answer your first question, you said your university already has designed some kind of qualification framework, but we haven't yet seen that. So therefore, I wouldn't be in a position to compare and tell what is the difference. Since we have heard the presentation and you know what is your qualification framework, perhaps you will have some idea. We will, of course, distribute an integrated document, although we made the presentations differently for better coordination and understanding. We'll be announcing only one integrated document for the entire country. So let's move on to the next speaker, next questioner.
Professor Jain Tripathi ji, you can unmute yourself.
Namaskar, sir. My question is, see, what is the plan for the students who are in transition phase, who will be in transition phase, or the students who have already completed their 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years courses? And the similar thing happened when we have done our BA or BSc courses for 2 years, then it was turned to 3 years. Then at that time, bridge courses were there. So what is the plan for this transition, for the students for the transition?
Right, right. No, it's an important question, Jayant. You see, we are providing a broad qualification framework, and there are going to be students in transition, but your academic councils, your board of studies should work out ways so that even the students who are in the transition period are benefited by this broad qualification framework that we are going to announce. We cannot say that, well, you're not part of this since you joined earlier, and therefore you had to pass out using the normal mode. That's one way of handling, but the best way of handling is maximize the benefit and flexibility to the students using the broader framework that we are announcing. And I'm sure the universities have enough intellectual resources to work out the solutions for this. Dr. Kalsiji, would you like to add on that?
I think you have already summarized it beautifully.
Right.
That it is for their academic council to find pathways. We have defined pathways. We have created gates, but gate की चाबी तो उनके पास है ना. तो ये चाबी लगाएं, खोल ले उसको, कोई problem ही नहीं है.
Right.
All those pathways are there.
Dr. Gokumar, next question.
Thank you, sir.
No more raised hands I could see, sir.
Oh, okay. In that case, one last questioner, we will go to ma'am who wanted to ask, but I asked her to wait. You can unmute, and with her question, we will conclude.
Thank you, sir. So I was just thinking that since, every university has been given the, freedom to decide, how much is to be learned. So I was just thinking out aloud that how do we then draw an equivalence? Are we going to take the minimum, which will be prescribed by UGC as a minimum, and draw an equivalence? Because different universities may have different levels. So when we think about lateral entry or higher studies, so how to draw the equivalence? That's my question.
Yes. No, this is an excellent question. That is why in our National Higher Education Qualification Framework, we have defined the minimum number of credits and the learning outcomes at every level. As a university, if you wish to give additional credits, maybe additional courses to the students, it's completely up to you. And one more thing I would like to emphasize here, that the whole discussion, although we mentioned about constitutional values, moral values, and so on, there are also courses that need to be introduced which will equip the students with soft skills, the ability to speak effectively, the ability to write effectively, the ability to work in teams. These are all soft skills that need to be acquired by the students, even language skills. All these things had to be planned. And in the 4-year undergraduate curriculum framework that we are going to announce, many of these details will be there. And as far as the equivalence is concerned, the minimum credit requirements, you can use it for the equivalence purposes. But within the UGC itself, we have formed a committee which will work out the guidelines for the equivalence across the universities within the country and outside the country.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So there is a question from Tezpur University.
Okay. Right. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Can I?
Professor Jain, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having this meeting. A lot of clarity has come now. But sir, my question relates to the award of the certificate and the diploma after first year and the second year. I believe that there was some mention of mandatory internship in order to earn the certificate or diploma. So just merely doing 40 credits of coursework, be it the the core courses and the skill-based courses, but in order to get a certificate, you will need to undergo 8 to 10 weeks or some such thing of internship.
Yes, Professor Jain, that is, if a student is leaving the institute, just taking a certificate in the hand may not be of much help. Therefore, there is a mandatory requirement of acquiring credits in a skill-based course so that the student finds some kind of employment. But the institutions themselves can decide if the student is not dropping out but continuing to the second year, just as IGNOU is doing, as Professor Dr. Kalsi has suggested. There is no harm actually giving a certificate to the student when the student is moving from first year to second year, and at the end of second year give a diploma. In fact, it will reinforce the confidence level of the student. At every level I'm earning something, not just only the credits, but something to show to the external world. And this is well within the autonomy of the institutions, well within your academic councils.
Okay.
Right.
So in a sense, it's not mandatory.
If the student is dropping out of the institute, it is mandatory to acquire certain amount of credits in a skill-based course. Otherwise, it's not mandatory. But
may I add to this?
Yes, Dr. Kalsi.
Yes, like this, that you got that student enrolled for 3 years. And that is why you have designed the total inputs given to him to be given to him for 3 years. For some reason, if he's deciding to go out after 1 year, that means that 1 year of qualification will not do him any good, will not get him employability in the market unless he is given some exit module. So that exit module is mandatory if you don't want to dilute the name of your university. Otherwise, he'll just go out in the market with that certificate, with that half-baked first year certificate, and that won't be any good. So I would feel that exit module is a mandatory module if you really want to make him employable.
Sure.
Yeah, it should be mandatory.
Yeah, that's what I think, sir. This would be my suggestion to the esteemed, these 3 organizations, UGC and CVT and AICTE, that it should be made mandatory, because when you are giving a certificate, implicit in that is that you have acquired certain set of proficiency in certain set of certain skill sets. So in order, so that there is a uniformity, sir, across all institutions. So if you earn a certificate,
I agree, Professor Jain, you are right. In fact, in the documents that we are going to release, it is mandatory for any student who is exiting from the system. It is mandatory.
Sir, thank you.
So I think, friends, thank you very much for your feedback and for your engaging questions. I also would like to thank Dr. Kalsi and Dr. Punia. And in fact, I would like to request Dr. Kalsi to give the concluding remarks and then close this program.
Thank you, Professor Jagdish. In fact, all 3 sessions which we have held so far have been very engaging. And the kind of clarity which it has brought to the institution, because I get feedback from various universities, various institutions, professors from various institutions. I can tell you that now they have much better appreciation of NHEQF and how it is going to ultimately integrate into everything else, including the NCRF. Also, the operationalization of ABC, I see, though it is in an initial phase, this will be some challenge for the universities, because they have to not only get themselves registered on ABC, but all their students must also go. Because unless they open their accounts, like accounts in the banks, they will not be able to put in their credits. And having the institution on ABC may not be sufficient. Also, I think we need to build some additional capacities at the university level as far as their academic councils are concerned. Because so far, the system in the country has been such that they have been looking at UGC and other regulators for everything, for every solution. But for the first time, you are empowering them so well that they have to have capacity to utilize that power. So I think some kind of additional courses or some kind of additional capacity building workshops may have to be organized. And I'll be very happy to collaborate with UGC to do that. I think we'll be ready with our document, as Professor Jagdish was saying, in other couple of weeks. And then after public consultation, we'll put it in the public space for implementation by everybody. But this is only an enabling framework. Now, every institution will have to build on this enabling framework to really use it to the full capacity. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jagdish. Thank you.